All right, welcome. We're going to be clearing a plant that started to bolt for us. It was some green mustard. Um, was a great plant. Got a lot of salads out of it, but we're at about 130 days in this garden system. So some of these plants are going to be reaching the end of their cycle, and it's time to start replacing them. So that said, we're going to go ahead and pull this guy out. Now, I will say I let this side go a bit and planning on making a video, so we can kind of see. Went a little wild here, but good, healthy roots. It's a little bit more compact than I would like it to be. So I have seen a lot of posts of people talking about why are my cups molding? Or why is there mold on my garden system? This is not mold. This is your air roots. Because this is a very high humidity environment, this allows moisture to be drawn in through these air roots, and it also allows for oxygenation. These are nice and fluffy, and they are moist. So they've got to stay moist to stay going. So we're gonna go ahead. I did get a couple of messages and comments when I did the root trimming about what was this little hole. This is actually one of the drain and overflow holes for these pipes. So when these are in there, that little hole that's in there allows some of that extra water to get out of there. Now, you can kind of call it a bit of a flawed system design because those little weep holes are constantly plugged up with roots, but the system does work very well. So, all right, let's go ahead and pop this out of here. Now, you can kind of give it a good tug. The reason I didn't do that when I was trying to save the plant was it damages the roots more. So cutting it is better. But since we're not trying to save this plant, we're just going to rip it apart. So you can see that this was a fairly root-bound plant. I'm going to drain this real quick into the trash just so that it's not dripping all over the floor. All right. So this was a fairly root-bound plant, and what that means is these roots have conformed to the shape of the cup, and they're really starting to get like they're not fluffy. They're starting to get very dense, and those dense roots don't have the space to really draw in the nutrient and the water. And so the plant starts to droop, it starts to wilt, and the one thing that you can do to kind of claw back the plant is if you're keeping up on it, you can trim them. I do have a video up about how to trim your roots. If you have systems that you don't have to trim your roots, trimming roots is a necessary evil sometimes to conform into a system that that you're growing in. All right. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna remove these roots, rip all these off. All right. And the reason I'm doing that is Gardyn does charge $5 for these little cups. They aren't necessary. You can use. Good question, Joy Dell. So as far as how often you trim your roots, I generally check them about once a week once they really start going. Um, your mileage may vary depending on your plants. It's really easy to pull them out. We'll get one that I just trimmed recently. And so this is the plant that I had shown off when we did the trimming video before. And it's been about, what, 2 weeks, a week and a half. And you can kind of already see that it's starting to grow back in. So we'd have to probably trim those again here in the next about week. It could probably get away with. All right. All right. So, like as I was saying, these little rock wool cubes that we have in here, you can pull them out, and then you can wash and sanitize this. This is kind of spent. They're single use, so just throw those away when you're done with them. And then these, you can go ahead and clean them. Um, you want to take all of the organic matter off of them. You could take the sticker off of it, and then if you wanted to, you could always cut another rock wool cube to fit inside that cup, and then seed and germinate another plant. Now, I will say, if you are mixing and matching and keeping a system going for a long period of time, you will want to start your seeds. I've got another video up that I was showing about how to start some pepper seeds. That's a good way to kind of get some sprouts. You could transplant those sprouts into the rock wool cubes. So, cool. Now we've got a gaping hole in the system. That's not good. You don't want to leave this massive hole open in the system because it's really going to start allowing excess moisture to get through. Now, what I'm doing in here is I'm pulling out some of the excess roots that we had in there from that system. You want to try to keep this cleaned out because water does flow through it. Um, the roots can kind of gum things up, and then if they aren't connected to a plant, they will die, and then that will start to really mess with your biome and your system. I do frequently talk about HydroGuard. I'm a big fan of more natural microbiomes. I'm enamored with the aquaponics constructs. You can do some microbiome efforts without needing to get fish. And one of those things is by using products like HydroGuard. All right, so we will want to go ahead and replace the cup in here. And then once we replace that cup, we have our handy dandy little cube covers. And then we can go ahead and allow that system to be closed until we get another plant that we're ready to start. Now, I have gotten a couple of comments. We gonna move over here and take a look at an onion that I have in the system. The onion in this system is actually growing in a 2-inch net cup. You want to leave it inside the riser tubes that the Gardyn comes with, but those cube pods that you can buy from Gardyn itself, or last time I checked on price was $4.99 a pod. You could instead get about 25 of these for that $4.99. So that's kind of some system maintenance and some cleaning that we were doing today. I'll hang around for any other questions that anyone may have. Go ahead and do a pull back and kind of see what we got going on here too. So we do have, so we do still have some green mustard here. I just harvested this for salads last night, so that's why it's a little thin. And then we have Swiss chard here. And yeah, you can use regular seeds. I'll go ahead and grab some of the seeds that I use here. We'll go ahead and fly through the system and kind of give you an idea of what you can grow in the system. So this is tatsoi. It's a Chinese mustard. Kind of tastes like spinach. As I showed, you can grow an onion. This I'm trying to get to go to a full bulb. We'll see how it goes. This is some sage that's growing here. I think this is some butter crunch, or no, that is Monte Carlo, a leafy green. And then we have a tatsoi that had bolted. I kind of let it go because I wanted to see if I could get seeds for it. It kind of went crazy. So no seeds yet, but I have been cleaning up little yellow flower petals all over the place. But a lot of leafy greens. I will say what the Gardyn system does really well are these leafy greens. I do have more leafy greens. Right here is a bell pepper plant. Stay tuned for a video about how to pollinate these. And then up here, we do have a jalapeno plant, which that pollinates the same way as the bell pepper. I've got a basil plant. It kind of came in, got leggy, and I tried to save it, and I've been working with it. It's still not very happy. And then we've got some dill. And then down here at the bottom, we've got a little cherry tomato plant. Now, I will say the cherry tomato plant, if I had to do over, I would not grow that in the garden system. All right, and I will go grab some seeds and kind of show what I'm thinking about growing. Now, as far as systems, I do have a number of systems. I have the garden, I have multiple arrow gardens, and then if you've been following along, we've got the Dutch buckets that we've got some bell peppers in. So, leafy green wise, these will grow really well in the garden. They'll really grow really well in the arrow garden. If you wanted to, you could grow them in Dutch buckets, but it's kind of overkill. Lettuce will grow in just about anything. But regular burpee seeds, this was a romaine blend that I was looking into doing. This was an experiment that I was contemplating doing some raised garden beds. So this wouldn't grow in hydroponics. Um, you might allow it to take over your house and you could try. But if you've ever seen a pumpkin patch, that would be asking a lot probably. Um, so an assortment of flowers. You can do these in hydroponics. I've seen a lot of people with a lot of success making very pretty arrow gardens for the countertop. Um, I was planning on using these outside. I may start them in one of the systems. Um, but I was planning on making a pollinator garden around my pear trees in the backyard. Basil, frequent. You can get whatever variation you like, um, but basil grows well in almost all hydroponic systems. You can grow beans in them. These do vine and branch out a bit, so if you were going to do beans, you definitely want to have a trellis. Let's see. Anything else interesting in here? More leafy greens. Now, I did have a idea with this. I do have a cat, Bob, who I could probably never get on camera, but I was contemplating going across the bottom row of the garden and putting some catnip in there and letting her have that. Um, but yeah. Uh, Kohlrabi, this looked really interesting. I've seen a couple of people growing this in gardens. So thanks to fellow content providers that I've seen this on. So stay tuned. I was really excited about this one. It's supposed to have an interesting flavor, so stay tuned. We'll kind of go speed style here. We got some spinach. Grows really well. Parsley. If you like cooking with parsley, cooking with fresh parsley is amazing. If you want to get into this very low entry cost, parsley is a great thing to grow in an arrow garden sprout. You could have it right next to where you do your food prep. Um, let's see, we've got some broccoli. I've heard a lot of people talking about broccoli in hydroponic systems. I was thinking about doing this more in the Dutch buckets, however. And then, as far as root vegetables, I've been exploring with the onions because onions are shallow rooters. So it's kind of like a transitionary root vegetable, I guess. But as far as something like carrots, you would have to be choosy on your media. You could do it. I have seen some people talking about doing it with carrots. Potatoes are a little bit rougher. Um, I've heard a couple of people talking about you can do them in Dutch buckets with perlite. Um, I've seen some really interesting videos talking about some fog ponics. Um, I can say that some of the stuff coming out of India and some of the research over there has been amazing, where they'll actually be growing potatoes and picking them overhead. But I'm not. There's still a couple of experiments. I've seen some people talking about some success, but I'm not really sure if you'd want to grow potatoes in like something like that. Um, but if anybody has tried and watches the video, please feel free to drop a comment and we can kind of share and compare notes. Alrighty. Well, thanks for spending 15 minutes this morning with me. I appreciate the comments and the questions, and we'll try to do this again next time. Thanks, everyone.